Hello, I'm Kiri Blore, and our interview today is all about the EU Economic Sentiment data release. Joining me on the line to discuss the data is Morten Ravn, Professor of Economics at University College London. Driven by higher confidence among consumers as well as industry and construction managers, the Economic Sentiment Indicator has risen. In the single currency area, the ESI rose to 102.7, following its almost tantamount decrease last month. Confidence in service and retail trade remained broadly unchanged compared to April. Amongst the 5 largest euro area economies, the ESI increased in the Netherlands, Germany, Italy and Spain, and slightly declined in France. Morten, the EU economic sentiment has gone up more than forecast. How justified is the current increase and how sustainable is it?
I think it's a bit surprising it's gone up more than forecasted. But on the other hand, I mean, these are small variations, so I think it's hard to make too much out of it. So given that there's uncertainty and sampling uncertainty and everything, it doesn't look like a big deviation to me. Yeah.
Is it likely that the German economy is giving strength to the economic sentiment? And what real impact does the recent disappointing French data have to the economic sentiment considering its rise?
Well, I mean, so I think it's true that the German economy is probably driving lots of this, because it's still the case if you look at the periphery of the EU, it's still not doing very well in many countries. But of course, the German economy has kind of gone through this stronger than the rest of much of the rest of the EU. So I would have thought that is driving lots of it.
What do you think is giving EU consumers this confidence, considering unemployment in several countries is higher than expected?
Yeah, I think one should think about, so confidence is just one reflection on what's going on, and I tend to think that the rise in unemployment, in particular both in long-term unemployment and youth unemployment, is still a big problem. So that is still a first-order thing. The fact that confidence is going up is good, but I think it's more important to deal with the real issues.
How much of an effect will we actually see on the markets after this data release?
Probably a marginal effect. I mean, it can only be positive, but I would have thought it's marginal.
All of the 5 largest euro area economies saw the ESI rising, fueled by buoyant consumer confidence. Why is this?
Well, there are parts of the world economy that seems to be picking up again. So, in particular, both the US and the UK seem to be picking up. So, I would have thought that is driving parts of it. It's also true that the economy most economy has been gradually improving over the last couple of years. So one would expect consumer sentiment to kind of at least be improving over time now.
What can we expect to see from the British economy? Can we expect it to stay in line with the Eurozone? And will there be significant difference between the two?
Well, so British economy, they've been more on the forefront in terms of addressing any fiscal problems than the rest of the EU. It's also true they had a bigger problem in the first place, but I would have thought that probably the British economy would pick up somewhat faster than the rest of the EU, simply because they have been faster in terms of being able to deal with some of the fiscal issues.
What is your prediction of the EU economy in the long term?
I still think there are big problems ahead in terms of dealing with the unemployment problems and in terms of sorting out the problems in financial markets and in terms of government debt issues. So my expectation would be that while the EU economy will be improving, it will be somewhat lengthy process.
Thank you once again to Morten. That's all we have time for today. Until next time, see you then.